this system couldn't exist without Champions. There's just no question in my mind. Champions led the way, and GURPS too. To be fair, GURPS also. The two of those systems showed the rest of us as writers and designers ideas that hadn't existed until that point.
This does have a very Champions feel.
Well, it is essentially a love letter to Champions, fourth edition.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Which was
a bored college student is the reason Champions came about.
Right.
A very bored.
We did have a quick question. Brett asked, since played in the disaster demo, is there a page limit to how long the heroes have to succeed to accomplish their goals, or is that a GM call?
GM call. Where the rule, the little extra rule that I put in, where the challenges get more and more difficult the longer they go untouched. That's a Sean table thing that I came up with to make the tension of those situations. The core disaster rules are meant to be played with. They're very, very simple, but a GM can definitely, a GM could do that. And you say, all right, you guys have got 4 pages in which to solve this, and if you don't do it within that time, then we have to see how many you did succeed at, and then we determine the results. So I like that. That's a great idea that you could use. So it really comes down to, because some disasters are a matter of disaster relief. The disasters happened. So you're going in to provide relief afterwards. So it's just a matter of overcoming the challenges within whatever time it takes. And if you succeed really well, then the players can say, well, we did so well that we overcame these challenges. Careful about banging the table, folks. You overcame these challenges so fast that less people suffered. But some disasters it's happening right now. The dam is bursting. That building is on fire. And I would definitely see a reason to make that more of a time-sensitive situation.
And Dale came up with answering that with the fact that the book does discuss short and long contests, which involve 3 to 6 exchanges respectively.
Yep.
I know what answer I would.
What? I'm interested what your answer would be.
I asked whether all of us underwent a multiple effect program. In other words, were we all tested on through multiple effects of things, or that person was a multiple effect? That's why I asked.
Yeah, that's her.
And then the other thing was, or was the singular structured event that eventually wound up with different solutions to what actually winds up happening?
My answer is probably going to be more of the latter.
Okay.
Because what they did was they came up with a way to infuse your cells with some sort of energy source. And that energy source is what they have control over.
Correct. But that being said, everyone, because while you all have the genetic markers to respond to this energy source, everybody's going to react to it differently, and therefore they will manifest differently.
So did they try to establish, since they were so set on the idea of control, did they try to establish a chemical basis whereby they could make the cells respond better, and what wound up happening was that rather than better, they got different?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Then that answers the question. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm just waiting for the book, so like
Same here.
Powers and costs.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that's probably all I need it for right now.
Oh, cool.
So if I had blind fighting, but it was limited, that it was only against things with minds. Like, in other words, blind fighting is like there's a bunch of robots that are totally inanimate with no active minds. It won't work for me. What kind of limit would you call that? I'm assuming con -1, but
I would have to look to see what the list is, but yeah.
There's not really a list. It's -1 and -4 straight up. There's no list at all. You have to. It's just if this is a kind of campaign where we're likely to fight a lot of things that don't have active minds, then it would be a much more limiting con. But if most of my opponents are likely to be people who have brains, and therefore I can fight them because they have brains, then it's probably only -1.
Sorry for stopping you.
You're fine. I'm just that.
Where's the letter?
Bearing in mind that -2 is a maximum value that would be worth it to me anyway because it's only 3-point power.
I'm going to give it to you at 1. Because it is a super source, not a psychic source. It can work a little bit differently, so it means you could technically, if you wanted to, still have the ability to detect those minds if they were robotic or otherwise.
You're probably right. Never mind. I'm not going to put that on there. I don't really need it. Well, I might. Let me see how many points I spent at this point. So at this point, I'm recalculating my points. Hero package, base 3 abilities plus 2 talents, 40 points. Spend an additional 8 points on my abilities and another 8 points on my talents. That brings me to 56. I'm taking blind fighting as a thing that my brain is putting out signals that I can reinterpret it. That's 3 points. I'm taking psychometry. I explained that before. I ended up with 9 minus 8, so only 1 point for that. Stun with the exclusive and recharge ability means that only costs me 5 points.
In other words,
and then telepathy with mind link, also exclusive, 11 points.
And basically, at the end of
evasion, which is going to be based on the fact that I can anticipate what people are going to do and quickly respond to it because of telepathy. So I have a base agility of 4. It's 1 point per 2 ranks. Some powers are 1 point per 2 ranks. You spend a point, you get 2 ranks on it. So base agility of 4, and that has the baseline rank. So if I spend any points at all on evasion, I get to add my agility of 4 to that. So I spent 3 points to add another 6 dice for a total of 10 in evasion. So that's 3 points. And then martial arts, which has the baseline rank of my might. My might is 3D, and I wanted 10 dice martial arts. So I spend 7 points on that. And that puts me at 86 points. So I still have some points left to spend. Now I'm going to figure out where I want to go with that. Since I'm looking at being at the trait cap of the game, I probably will want to spend 5 or 10 points on determination so I can have some, because otherwise I start with 0. I may want to go and jack up some more of my abilities and talents so that little miss I have all the talents doesn't make me look like a punk. So, we'll see. I have to figure out where else I want to go with my points.
My only big thing is survival. Jeez. Calm down.
David, where are you thinking about
I
going
have
with your character?
survival at a 6 also.
I took charm at 5. People just like me.
Well, in that case, people will actually refer to you for survival.
That assumes they know it.
David, where were you thinking about going with your character?
I'm actually going with a rogue-esque type character with power absorption.
Kind of on a quick tangent. Has anybody seen all the memes that are going around now that the X-Men are part of the MCU?
Let's not do that, please. You just interrupted David.
Sorry, me too.
That's fine. But with Blast, fairly agile, really agile, really tough. I did take the hero package and then boosted my agility and my toughness. And then very charming, very commanding. Covert boosted a bit and technology boosted up a bit. And a great driver. I'm at 84 points right now, and trying to figure out where to spend those last 16 points. I probably need some more powers. I have right now evasion at 90, power absorption at 90. I boosted my toughness to 90, and I have a blast at 90.
Nice. All right, so once again, proof of concept. Quiet ninja David walks in last to the party, and bam, he's got his character almost already done, like he does.
Yep.
Ryan, how about you? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm making a
Sorry, excuse me.
a character who can teleport and pull weapons through dimensional ports.
Nice.
I even have this idea of being able to hurl swords at people from out of a portal, almost like firing it like a missile. When I get a chance to look, I want to find out what expanded does, because I think that lets me like expand like the range of my area effects.
Okay.
It would only work for. It doesn't work for straight up attack powers. I wasn't paying attention to the first part of what you said, but it works for non-directly effective powers.
Oh, for more passive powers.
Right. So, what were you planning on putting it on?
Applying it to basically an area, a selective area blast.
No, it doesn't work for that, and it really shouldn't. That's broken.
Okay.
You want the area effect to handle what's happening on the comic book page, not an entire city. GMs are certainly welcome and should be able to feel like if they want to do a blast against the entire city because it's a supervillain, fine. But player characters just really should not be doing it.
Okay.
If you could come up, fly over a city and selectively blast everything in an entire city, that's a broken character.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a bit overpowered for our stats.
Girl, how about you? How you doing?
I have.
You successfully passed the noodling stage at least.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I have 26 points left to spend.
Oh, look at you.
And so far, she has 3s across the board, except for intellect, perception, willpower, academics, covert, streetwise, and survival, which are all 6s.
Huh.
And
That's why I said
blending.
what I said.
Okay. So you totally have the stuff except for all the things you don't. It's fine.
What was the concept?
If we were to take it to a breakfast club type thing,
You're Ali Sheedy.
I'm Ali Sheedy, but less weird, just invisible.
I am not seeing why you have to judge having pixie sticks and mayonnaise sandwiches.
Because mayonnaise is gross.
It is gross.
I third that.
I'm
Sorry.
a Miracle Whip gal.
I'm not.
You are just anti-condiment.
She really is. It
It ruins the original flavor.
is a shame upon our family and our house.
I'm so sorry, Sean.
My theory is more for those who do like them. So there. I'm not wasting any.
Purple.
Okay.
That puts me at 73 points.
Corey, I'm really digging that even right now at this very early stage, it's actually out of everyone sitting here. It's Glenn that is running with the actual story part of this. And he's already he's almost to the end of the block already.
What's
with
going
the
on?
story.
What is Len? Why is he not on camera?
Because his back is to it.
No, thanks to it.
Oh, Glenn. I thought you said Len.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No,
I thought you said Len.
I'm
No.
completely
Glenn has-
confused
no.
and lost.
The G makes a difference.
No, Glenn has been quietly asking us questions about the story and the background and so that he can figure out exactly who this person is and why he's where he is. And it's been awesome. So.
I'm just waiting for the power book.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm hurrying as fast as I can.
Anyone know offhand is armor 1 point per or 2?
Armor? I think it's 1 point.
It's 1 point. Baseline rank, half your toughness roundup.
Actually, do we have a question? Is it possible to develop the ability of fire resistance or mild fire resistance?
Adaptation.
Well, adaptation
Usually
is
was number
to
2,
everything.
right? Was the
Immunity is what you're looking
Correct.
at.
okay? Good. Good.
So specific immunity.
You take 3-point immunity, fire, and heat.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to be the ultimate, I can survive anything.
Nope.
Okay. Then you would take adaptation.
Okay.
And evasion is agility baseline.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look at the specificities of adaptation in order to understand
Yeah, I
it.
think it's straight.
Not divided by 2.
Because I've seen it in action, I never really read it.
Reading is good,
Yeah. Hence why I eventually need a PDF.
and that's fine.
So I did a little bit of a reconfiguration because I realized I had more points than I had anticipated. I've decided that his training and the effect of the power has enhanced him, both physically and mentally. So 60 agility now. 5 intellect, 5 might, 4 perception, 5 toughness, 8 keeping the 80 willpower. Went ahead and got myself 4 in science, technology, and vehicles, just was a little bit more comfy there. That actually lowered my cost on evasion and martial arts because, of course, the baseline rank thing. So I shaved some points back. I am looking at 89 points. That's counting the -4 package thing on my powers. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to justify an armor power, because otherwise I'm not really going to have any kind of a passive defense. But I think I'm not going to, because conceptually it doesn't really fit. I'm not telekinetic at all. It's all telepathy. And, putting my mental abilities out there. So I like the evasion concept. I like the blind fighting. I'm thinking I might go super senses, and I might give myself a couple of points of running, just to say that, the mind over matter, the mind over body physical enhancement thing with the martial arts and everything like that. I might go with, like I said, some super senses and that. But that's where I'm thinking at this point.
I think that makes more sense.
It does, the player thinks to himself, gee, if they're sticking us out in the field with powers, hopefully they'll give us at least padded costumes or something like that. And again, there's also the fact that I probably want to look at spending some of my points on at least 1 point of resolve. So, right now I've got 11 points left.
I have 14 points left total.
Okay, so you
That's a rock.
Charlie Brown Christmas special. Nice.
And yes, I've been mapping it out on here.
That's fine. That's the right
Actually,
thing
it's
to
the
do.
Halloween special.
That's 1 point per, right?
There, everything is 1 point per unless it's a power and it says otherwise. Almost all the powers are also 1 point per. Some are exceptions, and you'll see those under that. But abilities and talents are all 1 point per.
Okay.
Now,
Cool.
that again, with the package thing being what it is, if you take a package, you get a certain amount for a cost break. So the way I did it, for example, is I totaled these up, and then I subtracted 18 because I bought the package that made those all 3 dice.
Yeah.
So I added that together, and then I minus out 18 to account for how many dice each of them had because I
You did the
spent.
same thing here?
I did the same thing there, except I bought the hero package, so I did 3 dice all there and 2 dice all there, and then that would be minus 24.
Yeah, it costs 44 points to take those off of 3. I don't know if buying a superhero package is a good idea.
It is. So, superhero package, 3 dice. So 3 times 6, 18. And then 3 times 12 is 36.
36. So that's,
It's a slight cost break, but only a slight one.
yeah, it saves you 6 points.
Yeah. If you want 3Ds and everything, it's definitely worth it.
Which is cool. It's just cool.
Conceptually, if you're the kind of person who would be professionally capable in all talents, because 3 dice, you could get a job doing that talent.
Now, when you buy powers, how do you go about doing it? Oh,
Yeah.
there.
It's starting
just
right
the one
in
down there.
Right, there it is.
Just right on top of it. So
How much is size shield?
this is way easier than Champions.
One per. Like, almost all the
I'm
powers
into
either
that.
or they are a
I would
set.
say that's like the best selling point
Psychometry
so
is just
far.
9 points because it's a set power. Invisibility has a set power, but
Hashtag easy.
those are the ones you don't have to roll for. They're on or they're off kind of thing.
Hashtag easy.
Some of the powers will have 2 points per or 3 points per because they're just that much more effective. Like telekinesis you can do lots of things with telekinesis, so it's 2 points per rank. Some things like evasion are basically just an enhancement to agility. They're agility, but only for purposes of getting out of the way of things. So they're 1 point per 2 ranks. But those are the exceptions instead of the norm.
This explains why the numbers weren't figuring for me.
Right. Well, because that omni power is incredibly expensive.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, the omni power.
Now I know.
A broad sorcery omni power is 5 points per rank because it lets you literally do every other power in the game.
Yeah, it's a powerful.
Yep, it is a verbal powerful. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes,
So-
I am going to buy myself a
So to reiterate what that conversation was right there.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Basically, it is a good idea to take the packages presented in the book because they do give you a little bit of a cost break on taking those numbers at those levels. So for a 40-point hero package or the 50-point superhero package, it gives you a little bit of a cost break for buying all of that. And then specifically then moving into further character creation, it also makes it a lot simpler to just do your math and to just quickly generate your character at a base level. So that way you can just say, okay, I spent 50 points on all of this. Now I'm going to spend an extra 10 points on, extra talents or extra abilities to boost it to the point where I wanted my character concept to be.
We lost Scott.
No, I'm just waiting.
Did you already get your character built?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, it didn't take me long.
I'm a slowpoke. I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've comped the system really good for character creation, so I'm just sitting here relaxing.
All good. So I ended up buying a point of resolve, which brought me up to 94 spent points. So that leaves me 6. I went in and spent 2 points on running, which has a baseline rank of 3 dice for everybody because that's the human running. So now I run at 5 dice, which means I'm pretty much running like Captain America, or not quite T'Challa. I mean, Captain America almost could catch T'Challa. So I'm 5 dice. It's still technically within human range, but it's I'm beating feet. So, well, I guess I'm really not at the superhuman level, but I'm running at an Olympic level.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I have to actually look up the speed thing also.
$28 from $33,000.
Outstanding. Thank you.
bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Isn't it?
So specifically, the question is, does it cost points to do pros and cons, or do you get points back when you use cons? You get points back when you use cons, but it is very specific to a point-for-point thing, and it is specific to a power. Now, I've sort of modified that based on the setting and campaign that we're doing. To basically give everybody a package con, which means all of their supers powers will have the con of shutdown. But because it's a very specific shutdown, which would normally only cost them 1 point power, or give them rather 1 point back for applying that con to that power, I'm giving them 4 points because it applies to all of their powers. powers. So it's a
Oh,
rare
there's superpowers specifically.
right. So it's a specific, or it would normally be it rarely shuts down sort of situation, except that it applies to all of their powers as opposed to just one. So I gave him 4 points for it. So yeah, cons will give you points back to spend on other things. Pros and do cost extra points, and those are not a multiplier. They're not a a situation of it's going to cost this mathematical equation of it. No, if you want to buy this particular pro, it costs you X points. And yes, Brett, I am doing more of a source con, correct.
Martial arts' baseline might, is it straight or is it like one baseline for 2 might?
Well,
I think it's straight.
Your martial arts, I think, is 1 for 2.
1 for 2?
I'm 1 for 2 power, but it baselines at your might. So if your might is 5, then it starts at 5, and then you buy 1 point, boost it. That'll bring it to 7.
Okay. I have not done the 4 points we get back. If you be so kind as to pass that over. Sorry, kid.
Yeah, just put that there. That's fine.
Huh. I have not seen this power in use yet, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. Super Sense is Hyper Touch. You sense a touch is sensitive enough to read print with your fingertips or discern what's happening in an adjacent room by feeling the vibrations through a door or wall. So I went with acute vision, astral sight, enhanced hearing, and hyper touch.
Is it 2 or is this 4? I thought it was like 4 or 6. Super.
That's 48.
What's up?
So the
40 minus
adaptation
50 is
reads,
Yeah.
your body
I
instantly
haven't looked at it in a
adapts
while,
to
but
your
yeah.
surroundings, letting you breathe, move around, sense things, and survive in alien or hostile environments.
You can pass that.
For
on.
example, you might grow gills, fins, and a membrane over your eyes while underwater. Plus, you would become immune to undersea pressure and temperature. If I wanted to apply it to situations involving fire, how would that shift around or change?
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, you literally you can get rid of the immunity fire because adaptation means you don't need almost any of the immunities. Like it won't give you immunity to mental states, but almost everything else adaptation automatically.
Oh, so adaptation applies to physical environment.
Adaptation means you get thrown into space, you're fine. You get thrown into the middle of a volcano, you're fine.
Okay.
You get thrown underwater, you're fine.
Okay.
You could walk into you could literally walk through a failing radiation plant or a nuclear plant, and you're going to be fine.
You mean a nuclear meltdown?
Yes, the civilian package saves you a point. The hero package saves you 2 points, and the super package also saves you 2 points.
Superhero saves 4.
Not unless we suddenly change math.
What does that mean?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I was
I was
wrong.
going to say, unless you...
Yeah, it's 4 points.
4 points, sorry.
That's all right. My fault. My fault. Why stop playing Champions for a while?
See, I'm not the only one who thinks they're rubber jobs.
No, it's just
I prefer the Liev Schreiber Sabretooth.
That's just because you don't want to have to go out and get that Tony Award.
Yeah.
So, boy,
Girl.
remind, how is edge calculated?
Your perception plus the higher of your intellect or your agility, unless you have a superpower that enhances it, which
Lightning reflexes.
gives you +6 to the total.
Change this to a character creation.
So you'd still calculate it and then add 6.
explanation of me.
Yeah.
Totally.
Kind of addressing the other packages idea. Absolutely, there are some things in the works, especially with Modern Gods, where other packages are being considered, but they're tweaking the current packages, not necessarily expanding them into different points.
Yeah, in Modern Gods, there are what are called origins, and you have a requirement aspect to it. So you have to take a certain set of things that are in the requirement for that origin package. If you do meet the requirements, in other words, you spend the points on the things that define that, there's a set of bonus abilities that you get for free. Each of the bonuses associated with them is 10 more points of stuff. It's a set list of 10 points worth of things you get because you've met the requirements for that origin.
Sammi?
It says for the adaptation in the rank section that it's default rank. Would that mean that it's set to 10D or different rank?
So default rank always applies to your abilities. And when it says default, there's always a set default for the type of power it is.
So if this is your superpower, it's going to be based on whatever your toughness is.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason it's there is in case somebody tries to shut it off.
Ah, makes sense.
So
So mine would be 5D.
Right.
Because my toughness is set at a rank of 5.
Right.
Okay.
And
it doesn't say what source, so I'm guessing that would have to be super.
You choose source.
Oh.
Yeah, you choose the source, and then in this case, since I've limited you to super and training, it's probably super. And then at the beginning of the section, it should tell you what super source defaults to.
Which is toughness.
Yeah.
And training is willpower.
Do you need an ability of grow to be bigger than you are? Like Hulk, when he changes, he gets bigger than his normal human size would be a power or a pro. You wouldn't necessarily need that, but if you want that to become a mechanical effect, then yeah, you'd probably want to buy the other power growth and have that con applied to growth as a limitation on that power. Alternatively, I think somebody in the chat was saying something about an alter ego. There is another power that basically, or I don't remember if it's power or if it's con. I don't remember, but basically you can take that and you can create a secondary character effectively, so that you can have that entire build for that Hulk type thing.
It's a half an hour till I have to log in for work.
Does this mean I'm gonna have to move?
No.
I currently have 2 points to spend, and I'm trying to figure out what else to put into it.
Right.
And this is not factoring in the con thing.
Whenever somebody's done with the book, I'd like to see it for a minute or two.
I
Just
have
so
it.
you know.
I will send it
Glenn,
over
are
to
you
you
okay?
in just a moment.
Yeah.
There, it's on this tablet.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were still working on yours.
Nope, I'm done. Well, except for flaws.
So here.
And I'm assuming we're not going to, we don't, what about gear?
You can have gear, maybe.
No.
Maybe.
So the situation,
I was gonna say, that's not how it's gonna
the
work.
situation will play out as the situation plays
So
out.
we should not pick gear yet.
You should not pick
You
gear.
should not pick
I
gear
see.
yet.
Okay.
Oh, so I am taking astral vision. I recognize that we don't have a set have a psychic component. Maybe we do, and I don't know about it. I don't know, and I don't want to get any free reveals. But I took it anyway because among other things, it lets you see through invisibility and blending and stuff like that.
So you can see me if nobody else can.
Girl, do you have enough room?
Yeah.
Shiny.
When I showed you that meme, I think it should be how Sean finds out characters. How I find out characters.
So, if you, depending upon how you did the invisible plane,
you can add powers to unique.
or you could do invisibility with the area of effect, or affect other types of scenario.
Why it's shut down for no reason.
Flight and
just sit.
With the you have to sit.
Yeah, but other people can fly in the invisible plane, so.
True.
I would do it as a unique vehicle.
Yeah.
Build it as a jet plane that has, and you can use your vehicle points to buy powers, and you would buy the invisible powers.
But we're limited to trained and.
No, we're talking like a question from on there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how would you build Wonder Woman's invisible plane?
And likewise,
The weird thing about it is that the plane itself is invisible, but you're not, which is
weird.
I would almost say, visibility, con you have to sit, pro usable by others.
I'd still do it as a
Especially
vehicle.
flying.
If it is physically there as a vehicle.
I understand. The invisible plane is really just mostly a special effect in most cases. It was just because the editors didn't want girls to fly.
I currently have current two hero points suspend, and I'm trying to figure out what else would fit with my character, and I'm grasping at straws here.
So,
The only power I actually have is adaptation.
You could look at the perks.
Did you buy your might up?
Correct.
Even better.
It's at 5.
Yeah, we have 100 points.
Do you want me to boost it?
Oh, it's
But you want to be
100
super
points.
strong.
It is 100 points.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I'd find the points to
So-
buy your might up to at least
just-
8D, and I'd try for 9 or 10
And
if
then
I were
you've got
you.
the 4 from the con. So strictly speaking, 104 at the end of the day. The way the math is going to work out.
I'm going to bring it up to the
4 for
side.
the con.
The con of anything that's affiliated with your suit that is a power that is supers activated can be turned off. Everybody in the game, Corey said, has that con.
okay.
And so you get 4 points back from that.
What's it called?
Again, instead of magic
So-
character sheets.
You said
Perks was
So it'll be
under perks.
I think I'm lost.
Under the
It's very
powers,
Samantha. It's a 10
Oh,
game.
all right.
If you're
it'll
if you're
be
best
a
attack with
con
dice,
called
you'll be very
Shutdown.
frustrated. And do you have anything to defend yourself with?
There's probably so much worse.
What did you
That
spend your
means
points
get a
on?
bunch of magical paper
Sean.
at a pawn shop.
Adaptation
They use
costs
for character
12.
sheets.
Yeah, you have 100 points.
Shut down. Shut
I'm just
down
saying-
is
So we can become
4
his
points.
characters.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Should I drop out?
No. I'm simply pointing out to you that if the only thing you have is adaptation, that for one, I don't know where you spent your points. And for two, you're going to be very frustrated.
Sean, I'm going to step in for a sec. Sammy, how do you feel about your character? And do you need help with anything?
The main thing I'm trying to figure out is how to get a fighty kind of power.
All
Because
right.
the only thing I'm really good at is surviving stuff right now.
Which
And
is a
that's-
really good thing to have.
Yes.
Do you want help?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Let's help you with that.
I am sorry for causing more frustration than is needed.
All right. So, Samantha,
Yes.
I'm going to remind you for the cheap seats as well as for our live studio audience, this is why we are doing this.
True.
Okay? So I'm actually super grateful that you are at the table, and it's not just people who have the entire book in their head.
And I'm also, I think, the only one that's created a character
That's
on
fair.
their own.
And that's fine.
It's fun.
Okay, so let's
But
take a
it's all
look
right.
together and see what you've got.
I just
Yeah.
figure out how to do that.
So,
But my point was also
according to the
valid
math
all
that
the
I've got
things.
going on,
that in a game where
I
there's going to be
spent 9
fighting,
points
That'd
over
be
here,
ridiculous.
you don't want to be
5
sitting there
points over
having no
here.
ability to
12 points
fight.
here. This is a
You
really
should have
expensive ability, but
something
it's
that you
worth
can use as a cool
what-
combat thing. Now, if the game is not like that, that's
Yes.
a different thing. But superheroes
Given
or
all
tend
that,
to be
I
superhero
have
fights.
2 points left, not counting in the con. So,
Okay, so
exact
hold up your
factor.
trolley for a second. You took the superhero package, correct?
Yes.
So that's 50 points.
Or
So let's start over your math. You did 50 points from the superhero package.
Mhm.
You spent 9 points there.
Mhm.
You spent 5 points here. You spent 5 points here.
12.
Side
12
screen
points
is
here.
also
Shiny.
Yes,
like
12
off of
points.
filter.
All right.
The book. Oh, actually, more than I thought.
So you actually have 14
Alternate form.
points left. So you actually have 14 plus the 4 from the con.
Oh,
So why don't you take a second and under here, you're going to write down the con, the 4-point con of shutdown. Right?
so no.
So you actually have 20 points left to spend. Okay? So that's a lot.
In this system, 20 points is a lot.
yeah, it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
20 points is a lot. So, knowing your girl as you do, what are some things, some powers perhaps, that you can find in the book that would match your character concept? Adaptation is an awesome place to start. What else would you like to play with?
Same concern I have for her character I have for yours. But you know what you're doing, so I'm just saying. You have weakness detection, but nothing to use it with.
So we'll make this quick. Check the abilities and talents over and see if you're okay with them.
I have not spent the 4 points. Just waiting to put it
I feel
in.
like
That
But
would
I'm
be
not
very
sure.
helpful.
Punchy.
It's going to be a passive defense, but that's a good thing to have too. That would be a very smart thing to spend your points on.
let's see what it says. Danger sense. Baseline rank perception. 1 hero point per rank. You have the uncanny ability to detect immediate physical danger, even from sources you have no way of sensing, like a
So if
bomb
you
under
have
the
the supers
floor.
package,
Use
these
this
will be
power
at 3.
instead of perception when
No,
making
I took
rolls
them
to
back
detect
down.
danger and when determining your edge.
And the reason that I took
Additionally,
him down
You make active defense.
because he
you can
wouldn't
make
be good
active
in any
defense
of that
rolls
crap.
even when caught by surprise,
Like
using
character.
lesser of your active defense or
So
your
you're-
danger sense rank.
So
taking
One
them back
awesome
down
thing
without
for you to put
taking
some
any points
in,
back?
since you
No, I
have them
took the
to spend.
points back. I added them back into the deal when I added up.
danger sense is not itself
when we're at 100 points.
So
If you add the 6
you
and the
need to
1,
couple
which
that
takes
with
you to
either high
7.
agility or
If you take
accommodation
the
for
7
the
away from
I have agility of
away
5.
from
which
the
is
So that
Or
is
you
very
take
good,
7
but
away
you know
from the
what?
4,
I think
which would
that
leave
it
you
would
with
make
3.
sense for your character to
So
bump that up
out of 100
closer to
points,
the,
it's actually
10 week cap.
53.
Okay.
I've misfigured by 1.
so that those things
So 100
combined will make an
minus
awesome
53.
passive defense for you.
Well, before you finish that,
Like I'd
math,
bump it up to 8 or 9.
so we answered
Okay.
this question just a little bit earlier. You can't take
So, and
points
it
back
says
from that
1 hero
package
point
and get
per
them
rank.
both back.
Correct.
basically.
So
if you
for
take the
example,
package,
if you
then
want
you-
8 points in danger
you're locked
sense,
into
you spend
those
8
those
points.
numbers. You can only go up
One
from
for
there.
one.
Okay. No problem. I'll change it. Not a problem.
But okay, so hold on a minute, because the baseline rank is perception. So what's your perception? Your perception is 4. So by
Sure, I
spending
think
the
I'm at
1 point
right
on
now.
danger sense, you automatically have 4 ranks of danger sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically, you are spending 1 point to unlock this use of your perception.
That makes sense.
You can then boost that additionally, or you can boost your perception in additionally, which will then boost that by default. However you want to make that work.
I feel like boosting perception and then
That will boost itself.
Yeah.
Agreed. So you're going to at
Expertise
least, at the
isn't
very
something
least, you're
you
going to
can
spend
buy
that
on a
1 point
combat
in
skill,
danger
is it?
sense.
Yes.
So let's add that
I
to your
didn't
map.
think so.
Not unless it's like I know different
Plus one.
forms and as a knowledge based sort of thing, but it's not going to give you any additional points because
Okay.
it's
This is
kind of
getting pretty
redundant.
messy here. Let's fix this.
Depending on how you see her in your head, bonking those, one or two of the abilities up to help you with those defenses might not be a bad choice. Because right now, yay, you have 4 resolve straight out of the gate, which does not suck. However, shaving a little bit of resolve off and in exchange being a little tougher, for example, might not be a bad choice for you.
Did you take a package?
I did not.
Where you at?
So you're way overspent. This is what you spent on those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why Len and Sean chose you to hand the game to and say, what can you do to mess this up?
Oh, much smarter.
Okay. Is that
So
Yes.
100 points.
You said Nicory.
10, 14, 24. Well, 14, 14 is 28, 38, 48, plus 16.
Move your finger. 16 plus 9 is
73. And then 10 the agility, 83. 91.
Oh, you know what I did?
83.
I subtracted the 2 that you get baseline for each of the stats from the amount that you. Like for the agility, I didn't spend 10. I spent 8.
Well, you'd have to take a package for that.
Right.
You don't
need
get
to
a
see the
default 2.
books.
You get default 0.
How much are the packages? They're like 50 points, aren't they?
30 for 30, 40, and 50, I think is what they are.
I think it's 35, 40, and 50. I have to. Give me a second. I'll look it up.
35, 40, 50.
35, 40, 50.
Yeah.
35 gives you 2 in everything, ability and talent. 40 gives you 3 in abilities and 2s in talents.
What's
And
that?
50 gives you 3s in everything.
Who's getting dice? On my way.
So that alone puts me over.
Would danger sense be considered super? In this,
It certainly could be.
We'll clear 8 points there.
but I feel like because of her particular background, there would be sense that it would be more into the trained category.
Yes, but
But
remember.
it's up to GM discretion.
Okay, well, I'm going to say more than that, it's up to logic. No matter how much training you
And
have
then you
at your young
can't,
age,
like if our
But even,
stat is at, like for instance, if my
let's use
my
the
stat's
example
at
that was
cap,
used
my
in the
agility,
book,
right?
sensing that there's a bomb
I
under
can't
the
buy
floor.
any more
How do you
evasion
train
to
for that?
improve that, correct?
You really don't.
Because it's at the cap.
Gotcha.
So
So
look at you answering your own question.
your best bet is to take your agility down. Because I think evasion is 1 for 2. So you can buy 1 point of evasion with an 8D agility, and that puts you at the cap of 10.
But I'd spend that same point on agility, and it comes out the same way, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Evasion's 1 point per 2 ranks.
Yeah.
Agility's 1 point per 1 rank.
Okay, so it'll save me a point.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I may kind of want the. No, I've got the blast. So.
sort out how you're fixing? Not yet. Sort of ish. No keys. Flaw.
Also trying to get
Brain working for working. I appreciate your utilization of technical terminology now.
Corey, there's a little chain device looking thing over there. And then under Corinne, you can go ahead and load up the last version of the rules on your laptop so you're sitting there. So you have the book.
Right, yeah. It's the same David that's been sitting here
How
and
big-
who's one of your best
How
friends.
big is that file?
I'm just saying.
Not huge. I mean, I can certainly send it to you. I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Ridiculous dog of ridiculousness.
Sorry, if I
Just
had more
mail it
access
to
to
my
the book,
email
it
address. I'll give it to you.
would have been clearer.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Raya, come here. Come here, Raya.
Force manipulation mentioned that you make a force field. Do you have like a force wall too? Like Champions has force fields and force walls.
A lot of
Force, so
a lot of the
well,
points
force
haven't-
manipulation
a lot of the
is
points
the
haven't
general
really
term.
changed
There's that
from the,
implies
previous
constructs
editions,
is
so
one of the
you
powers.
still
Force
have that
field is
on,
another one of the
on there.
powers.
You can pull that up
Telekinesis would
and
also
use
be a
those points.
potential
No, I don't have
thing,
it
although
on this. I have
quite
it on the
frankly,
computer at home.
constructs kind of let you do telekinesis for all intents and purposes. Constructs is 3 points per
I wish I
thing, so it's
the,
a very, very versatile power,
files
but it lets you do
Google
a lot of
Drive.
things. So constructs is what you want to. You want to look at the constructs power.
um,
Force field is just
I've got
straight up.
69
You're putting up
points
walls of
basically to work
force
with.
in front of you, and or if you buy area around
after
other
the
people.
package.
It has the advantage of automatically blocking certain levels of attacks, but it has the disadvantage of if it gets blown through, then you have to reactivate it.
Yeah, it's about 66.
So what is your email address?
GST
Oh, this is rough.
at
Mhm.
gmail.com.
So GSTTHAIN.
Yeah.
Got it.
You got it.
No, remember, do we get extra points for taking flaws?
Yeah, you get points back for taking cons.
No, I mean character flaws.
No.
Oh no.
Those generate resolve.
Yes.
Correct, exactly so.
And that is a good point for people at home that flaws are still a thing in this system. They are basically ways to generate what is called resolve, which is effectively, if you're familiar with Savage Worlds or other game systems that basically have a Benny system that you as a player will have a pool or a resource to give to the GM saying, I want to reroll, or I want to do this effect, or I want to have some cool thing happen. Then that is also present in this system. Flaws are a good way to generate those for you as a player, because you'll basically be able to say, go ahead and invoke my flaw of
Short fuse.
and I'm gonna just go off the handle on this guy, and it's gonna completely cause a radical problem for us because he's a diplomat or something, and that will give you, the player, a resolve for playing into your flaw, which you can then utilize later on in the session for saying, oh, I really rolled bad on this attack roll against the major enemy. I should probably not do that. So you can then spend that resolve to re-roll that effort. Flaws at character creation do not give you bonus points to spend. They are completely and utterly a roleplay thing that is generated for resolve later.
Which is the entire purpose of it. As we were discussing earlier, a lot of the very early games were more crunchy, mechanical, less storytelling driven. We are using the concept of character flaws entirely for purposes of generating a good story. The reason you're getting a resolve is because you're doing something that, as a player, wow, this is a dumb choice. This is going to not go well for me. I am not doing something that is advantageous to me, but it makes sense for who my character is, and it's going to make for good story, and that's why you earn resolve for it.
Okay, so I have finished my character, and if amenable, I'd like to go ahead and share it out loud with everyone. I haven't come up with a name yet, and I'm trying to decide if we should even have superhero names yet, or if we should just go with our real names. What do you think is more appropriate for the setting?
I think something that is part of the campaign is self-exploration. So coming up with a superhero name as you come up with it in the setting.
Cool. So
I have one. So.
We probably have real name, test subject, number blah.
Yep.
So I decided with the extra points I had, and with the idea that his inward-looking powers of telepathy and such, he used that also to become something of a physical adept. So I ended up bumping my agility to 6D, intellect 5D, might 5D, perception 4D, toughness 5D, and willpower 8D, which means I spent a total of 15 additional points on abilities after using the hero package of 40 points. I then went through, kept my academics at 4D, command up to 4D, science and technology 4D, put 3D in survival, and 4D in vehicles. So I ended up spending 11 points on top of what the baseline for my talents. I purchased the under super under super level or super source ability or super source powers. My willpower, I decided, was a super source enhanced power. Blind fighting, I took psychometry with the concentration and delay, which means not a combat thing. Stun of 10D, which I took as an exclusive power, so I can't use it while I'm using telepathy. Which means, for example, if I have everybody mind linked and I turn around and decide to stun someone, the mind link drops. And it has a recharge, so I can only use it once every 3 pages. Telepathy at 10D with the mind link ability and exclusive. I went and bought super senses and gave myself acute vision at 6 dice.
My desk chair and another tray table.
So I took acute vision.
By the way, I love your shirt.
Guys, I'm trying to talk to the people online.
And we're trying to
Accommodate the person that's physically here.
I understand, but you guys know I don't do well trying to talk while people are talking. So acute vision of 60, astral vision, enhanced hearing, and hypertouch. And then under my training source, I took evasion of 10D, martial arts of 10D, and running, which I brought up to 5D. And I spent 5 points on giving myself a point of determination. I took the 3 flaws: code of conduct, decorum, and reaction to loud noises, which means if there's like a rock concert or an airport outside the tarmac or something, I can cause myself to lose my turn or have a severe issue, and that would give me resolve. Decorum means manners maketh man, and code of conduct, both of those tie into he wanted to be a cadet at West Point. So he follows the cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. And he tries to live by a code of honor, which is going to be interesting with his telepathy abilities. And decorum means he has a rather D&D paladin-esque attitude about certain things and the idea about chivalry. So I'm going to consider him to probably have an attitude dealing with women that women are probably going to find somewhat off-putting because he's trying to be all polite and chivalrous and open doors and that kind of thing. So that kind of, he's also, dude, that's not cool. You shouldn't say that. He's going to be the kind of person who will cause himself social problems because he's going to call people out for behaviors that he thinks are inappropriate. So those are my 3 flaws. And I will, they will come, I will find ways for them to come up to cause me problems in the game, which will then earn me resolve. So that's my character. And that ended up being 100 points.
Cool.
Well, technically 104 points because of the package count.
I need to see a copy of it. I'm going to have a lot of 2s. Just so you know.
Come in and be welcome.
Hey, Randall.
Hey, Sean.
This is what I currently have to work with.
Okie doke.
So. And I'm struggling to figure out what else.
I don't know. I think the dwarf kind of won on that one. She's over by the booze now. Awesome. Good for you.
I don't know.
Did you want to see? Or are you busy? I'm going to get myself something to drink.
You need any favor?
Alcohol?
No, I'm not doing that yet. I got 24 hours online. I'm not making drinks until tonight.
It's not a Thin Man movie.
What?
Not a Thin Man movie.
Corey, so you know, while I was sitting here,
It's one of those.
the camera on top of the
Corey's
laptop
movie.
was partially blocking me.
Oh,
So I was like,
yes.
this the entire time.
Sorry.
So,
If I had my way, this would not be here at all.
This is
But
going.
there's a reason why I mentioned this. Some individuals here at the
Change
table
character creation.
have the potential to be actually hard of hearing, like me. So we have to figure out where to sit in order to understand the full
I
situation.
create characters, big
And
analytics,
so-
charts and stuff like that. I
Just
create characters. Do I really
Keep
look
in
like
mind,
someone
if
with
you do
a
have an
plan?
individual like that, let them know what you're saying by either repeating what you're saying or having them sit closer, so that way they have an easier time.
I mean,
Translation: be conscientious of all players involved.
Stereotypical size shifter. So go on, try. I'm huge. I'm
May I
not.
see the book when you're done with it?
Right now, I'm kind of stuck, so yeah.
It's,
Oh, and Corey, if
There's
you
a
want to
pencil.
see what I have working with so far, with all the points that I've spent, sorry. I currently am at 81 out of the 100.
So, real quick.
So,
have you thought about strike?
not yet, and I'm struggling with.
So here's the which.
I already taken martial arts, so strike
That's
might just add to
So
that.
wait,
I'm not
let
sure.
him finish. He's trying to help you out.
Sorry.
I was gonna say just the whole hit because you can add stuff to strike, like penetrating. So the idea is you get strike power. You punch people, and you punch them so that their armor, so their passive defenses is halved.
Mm.
So you don't need that much strength to actually cause some pretty serious hurt on them. As for defenses, you got decent agility, right?
Hmm?
You got a decent agility,
Yes.
so you should be good. You might want to.
That and also a danger sense,
Real quick.
so I can
Strike
easily.
has the baseline rank of either your might or strike, which was higher.
Okay,
I'm sorry, either your might or martial arts.
so like I said, but with strike, we can put even with one rank of strike, we can put the penetrating on it. So you just go through armor.
Oh, that's a really good combo. He's absolutely right.
And that way, with you, it's the fact that your danger sense just tells you where to punch.
Now I see where you're going with this.
You know, it's just a quick.
I think you're getting danger sense and weakness detection mixed up.
Well, that would work for both of you, actually.
well,
But still.
because weakness detection
Is seeing the individual seeing
gives
physically seeing
you
the weak spot.
well,
Danger sense is detecting danger where it's
Samantha?
coming from.
Samantha,
specifically
Sorry.
weakness detection as a power gives you the penetrating on all of your attacks.
So that gives you penetrating, but at least with this one would give you a nice offensive ability without having to go too crazy. Like for instance, my whole thing is going to be, I'm going to have to be creative with this because my two big powers are size shift. So for offensive, I'm going to kick you. I'm going to get big and kick you really hard. Or
That would be really offensive.
For defensive, well, it's really hard to punch Barbie. Actually, no, I get 3 inches tall, so I was trying to punch a miniature. The size of
An action figure.
Yeah, an action figure.
As long as you move around there, like Ant-Man.
Yes. As long as you move, you're fine.
One really slower, he can jump pretty far.
So what's the draw points cost on strike?
That is a great question for the book.
What does what cost?
Which I don't have.
Sorry.
No copy of.
That's all right.
Strike is.
So patience, because now we have someone else who needs to start his character from scratch.
So we're making characters for practice. We're making characters and we're going to play them.
So it is our intention to play them. We've got basic character concept to catch you up
Strike is 1
is teenagers who are just coming into their power and really have no idea what to do with them. You've got 100 points to play with. However, the backstory is that you're essentially lab rats. You've been brought in for one reason or another to a school, much like River Tam was, for one reason or another, and you end up getting experimented on. Because of that, all of your powers either have to be trained or supers, and anything that is supers can be shut off, and therefore we are giving you the 4-point con of shutdown.
Strike or martial arts. I
So-
have martial arts. Heck yeah.
You've got 100 points, 104 points to play with.
Using the packages.
You are welcome. Most of the people here have used the packages, either the hero or the superhero, but that's not required.
The hero package
Thank
is
you, Scott, for
50
giving me the idea of
threes.
strike.
40. So the hero package
So-
is 40 points, and that's
My
martial
arts.
3
Yeah,
and
some
all the
kind of
abilities
damaging
and all the talents.
combat.
Or the superhero package is 50 points, and it's 3 for everything.
Yes.
Oh, weapons is no
I just didn't
longer
want the turn to be all empty and stuff.
for martial arts.
I help. Now you can be all like in charge again, and I will assume my normal position of second.
Oh, sorry.
He'd be in charge.
I didn't realize you weren't
Be
done.
in charge.
So there was 3s in abilities and 2s in skills.
Weapons is no longer a pro for martial arts.
2's in talents.
It's
The only one listed here is deflect. Used to be here.
For the strike ability, do I have to take one of these cons or pros in order to? Because I feel
Let's read it out loud for the class.
Yes.
Strike. You have some kind of damaging close combat attack like claws, energized fists, or a unique melee weapon.
It says
You
you're
can
trained
use this
with
power
weapons
to perform
under
close
martial
combat
arts now,
attacks
which I
and
guess
active
it didn't
defense rolls
before, so
against close
I'm wondering
combat
if that
attacks.
was changed since
You must
the
specify
January
the
version.
kind of damage inflicted when you apply this power, unless you apply the weapons con discussed below. So, do you have to have those pros or those cons? No, you do not. Do you need to specify right now how this strike power is manifesting? Yes, you do. And then if it's applicable to use one of those pros or those cons, then by all means add them in.
So, yeah.
What do you have as a power?
When
What
it
do you
doesn't
have
come
as
up
a
under
power?
pros or cons.
So what did you want to use for your strike?
I feel like everything else that I have going on, I feel like some kind of superpower fists.
So the example of energized fist might be a good choice for you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Which
So
means I would be super.
it would be super.
I like that overload.
And then again, as we discussed before, you spend 1 point to unlock that at
Which I already
the
know.
baseline rank. Correct. So there you go. So are you using might or martial arts as your baseline?
Yep.
Okay. Which one?
Martial arts.
Okay. And what is your martial arts currently at?
which is going off of my May of 6.
Look at how that works. Yay, easy math.
So we have striker, size. Don't want to duplicate someone else for people do it.
We have the telepath.
I'm the invisible girl without being invisible.
The invisible, not invisible. Right.
That's just weird.
Power absorption,
Why?
mimicry.
Power absorption and mimicry. Girl.
Basically info gathering and blending. Yeah.
Are you gonna wear the jacket and put your hair in pigtails?
Shut up! It's not Maggie. You're a bud.
I just realized something.
I feel very called out.
I'm essentially
I
taking.
totally did not realize that's what I was doing.
I'm the
I appreciate
GM.
your consistency.
God, what's his name?
I'm like
He's
a
one of the
martial
members
artist
of
range specialist.
Fantastic Four with
And
the
Scott's character grows in
Milan.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Storm.
I'm essentially taking him, putting him as a super firefighter kind of character with martial arts abilities. Way to go, brain!
If you're doing an elemental like that, martial arts abilities really help, and not taking them later, being able to take them now, cherry.
What?
Says the guy who runs an ice elemental at Steam Champions. Ice Star.
Your concept only with ice.
Yeah, your concept only ice. Now a little bit more. Now. A lot more.
So Dale says, the gorilla walks into a room with his hands over his eyes. I'm invisible.
Yeah. Can't see me. Gone.
Everything's better with gorillas. No, really. It's a great medicine.
Oh, shush!
I know she's on the couch, but it sounds like she's underneath the cabinet.
Shut up, dogs.
Singular.
There's just one.
It's
I
just
didn't do
There
it.
could be only one dog.
I didn't do it.
Oh, you're fine. Let's see.
Good, because I didn't do it.
Two-fisted might be handy.
I took two-fisted also.
Such as 3.
I'll mark this down to 5. Take two-fisted.
I'm going to read it out loud for the class. 3 hero points. Two-fisted. You may use both hands equally in combat. You may choose to accept a 2D penalty to your attack rolls when fighting minions in order to defeat twice as many as usual, or 2 per net success rolled. This doesn't stack with similar effects like area attacks, the super speed power, or the ricochet pro. This effect can be used in conjunction with all physical attacks, including attack powers. Additionally, when dual-wielding mundane weapons, you can increase their weapon bonus by 1d. This applies only to mundane weapons, not powers with cons like item or weapons, and it doesn't grant you extra attacks. Con, fighting/marksmanship -1. This power only applies to close or ranged combat, respectively. Just reading it out loud, the whole thing.
Thank you.
What's
So what?
rank on it?
It's 3 hero points per rank.
But it's default.
Okay.
I don't know what the default is. I didn't see that.
I feel like it would go with mine. The default rank on
Who
two-fisted.
needs the book?
Yes.
And mine.
Two-fisted is just, you just buy it. It's just points.
With the fact that it's talking about physicality.
I haven't hit default rank yet, so
Oh,
I don't quite
Remember
know
that
what
not
that is.
everything has a default either. Okay. So don't stress on it.
It's one of
Well,
those
this
you either
has
have it or-
default rank,
yeah.
so
Either have it or you don't.
Are we okay on this?
Yes.
Okay, good. Where do I find cons in this book?
It will be after the powers.
After powers. So I was headed the right way. I just didn't know it. Ah, there we are.
So I'll have to bring everything out and do the when I'm going to do the. Remember I said I was going to show how I make an old fashioned in a SoCo Manhattan.
Mhm.
I'll have to bring the ingredients out here and do it on the table.
That's fine. There's not a single thing wrong with that.
So is Randall also making a character now?
Yes, he is.
Okay, very cool. Randall, have you had a chance to look at the
We're
Wizard
gonna
Ball,
have
or
a
is this
very
your
full
first
table.
exposure?
I looked at the quick start and got the
10
old
points.
book.
Spent 8
So at least
there.
you've got a ballpark in your head.
I would really like my charm and command to
See?
be higher, but
I got Bitey now.
all right. That seems to do it.
Okay, so I'm seeing number and I'm seeing 6. So you're saying that's 6 dice?
Yes.
Okay. Shall I, or do you want to handle it?
That's fine.
Did you read the part where martial arts has might as its baseline rank?
Yes.
You have a might of 6.
Mm-hmm.
So how many points did you put into martial arts?
I think you got 2 more points.
Because by boosting might, it retrospectively boosts that.
Let me add it up again.
That's how I was able to pull it off. Or
If you have-
was I doing it wrong?
How many points did you put into martial arts?
1.
Then then that would be rank 7 because it automatically gets the 6 dice from might.
Okay,
moment
so
you
when
spend
I
a
add up the
single point on
powers,
You got
that
6
comes to
dice from your
59
might
points.
Uh-huh.
because your might is
I have
acts as a
69
baseline rank.
points total
Yes.
after
Your
the
might
package.
automatically as dice
So-
in martial arts.
Mhm.
But if you put a point in martial arts, that means you
I
also
put in
want
6
a
there, not
die
8.
of
That's
martial
why.
arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your
Oh,
martial
okay,
arts
that
would
makes
be
So then those will
7
also go
dice,
into charm
not
and
6.
command.
which then which reflects which
Well,
Based on
handle,
this-
let's handle martial arts first.
Okay.
You put 1 point in martial arts.
yes.
All right. Then how many points did you spend on strike?
1.
Okay, so that would currently have a rank of 8. So your martial arts would be 7 dice. Your strike would be 8 dice. Did you add any pros to it?
No.
Okay.
I specified how it would show up and I
Okay.
chose energized fists.
So you have 6 dice might, 7 dice in martial arts, and you bought a strike, which brought you spent a single point on strike to bring that up to a total of 8 because strike has the baseline rank of either your might or your martial arts.
And I was
whichever
doing it
is
based
higher.
off my martial arts.
So-
So doing it the way you're explaining it now makes more sense to me.
Okay. And you put
3 hero points on this, which give it a 1D rank.
no, not really. Two-fisted just
It's just a thing.
it's just a thing. It doesn't actually have any dice associated with it. It matters if you're like using 2 mundane weapons or something, but otherwise it doesn't matter. You put 3 points in running.
That was the way I was reading it. I was reading it as if you
Did you buy any running?
yes.
How many points did you put in?
3.
Okay, so you have 6D running because your baseline rank for running
How's
is
the
3.
note
Everyone has
Yeah,
3D running
considering I'm
automatically.
a
Okay.
walking
So if you put 3 points in it,
storehouse
it's 6
of
dice.
weapons.
What's that?
How's the
Danger
note here
sense.
going to work out since I'm
Yes.
a walking
Danger
storehouse
sense.
of weapons?
You put 5 in danger sense.
Right now I'm having trouble remembering what the hero cost was.
1 point per.
Yes.
We'll
Yay!
let the story play out on it.
So
Okay.
5 dice. All right. That means
So-
that you have 5 dice in danger sense. So, actually,
Yeah, because Sean Len has been.
Hi, can I help with anything?
Hey, Len's here.
Lynn has arrived. Good job. Lynn has
And
joined
shot
the,
the food.
Lynn has joined the
Join
party.
the party.
Hey, Len.
Hello, Len.
Hello.
If you're watching, you can see we have our house full at this point.
Including one unseen player.
So Corinne is in
No
the
pun
kitchen.
intended.
She had to move back because Randall showed up and she gave up her seat because she also has to be on computer because she also has to work tonight. Of course, you saw Scott earlier. This is Brett Baker, who I think you saw on yesterday's. If you watched any of yesterday's game, Len, if you remember, I mentioned Glenn Thane, one of the original Champions and GURPS. This is Glenn Thane. He's coming today.
Hello.
So Glenn was one I wrote that update about. Len, if you look over on the computer that's over here next to Jennifer, you can see him. That's the original. That is the core. That's the mainline writer and designer of the game.
That is our god right there.
We have David Shinefeld over here. I don't know if you can do. I don't think you can see him. So yeah, we have a house full.
Nice.
And more planning to go up.
Nice. So I heard you've got strike 8 dice energy. Strike energy at 8 dice right now.
I'm sorry, what do you say?
You're doing an 8 dice energy strike.
Yeah, at this point, she would have 8 dice and strike. What I'm looking for is I'm trying to see if she has any points left that she can spend to kind of get up a little bit. Because
Just make sure to specify the kind of damage that strike is doing, whether it's energy or fire or sonic or thunder or whatever.
I think she just said energy.
Yeah.
So the baseline rank on Danger Sense is your perception. Your perception is 5 dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your Danger Sense, did you spend 5 points on that? It's important that you know how many points you spent.
That actually tickled me a
I was
little
doing it all on my
Maldainian yesterday.
Okay.
Much fruitless.
Well, that's why using pen and paper is probably a good idea sometimes. But why did you write a 5 there? Do you remember why you wrote a 5 there?
Because I put 5 coins into it.
There you go then. Since your perception's 5 and that's 5, that would mean you have 10 dice in Danger Sense.
Oh, okay.
So you need to actually change that to a 10.
I had.
So, you know, that's we'll have to look at what your defenses are at this point. But 10 dice in sense.
I feel like I'll be using my martial arts.
Yes. What about when
I
you're
want
being
to
shot?
define my armor is when somebody attacks
I need to
me,
figure out
I'm going
something
to deflect the attack by firing off.
Well, right now it's going to be based on your agility.
Like from out of a dimension.
But what's important here
Instead of
is
being
that
like
if you've
actual
got 10 dice in
physical
Danger Sense,
So that work or should it be force field?
You can use your 10 dice strike as a defense against close combat attacks.
Do what?
You can use your 10 die. You can use strike as a defense against close combat attacks, and then
Exactly. If she's getting shot at, she's only going to get 6 dice.
Well, she's got she could use maybe a block or deflect or whatever that pro is, block incoming attacks with her energy.
If we have points for it, which I don't know if we do or not.
Oh, no.
But right now, since Danger Sense by itself does not impact your trade cap situation, that's not going to cost you determination for purposes of trade cap calculations. So maybe just leave it alone for now, so you can build into it. Because you have a 10 in that, it gets to replace your perception for purposes of edge calculation. So that 10 plus 6 means you have an edge of 16.
Okay.
Now, adaptation, that's straight up. I don't know why I have a 5 there, though.
It said that
Default rank, never mind. Yeah, never mind.
Same with two-fisted.
Yeah.
Two-fisted has a default rank, depending on its
and
source.
this one is default rank, but I don't know what it's based off of.
Training, which would be willpower.
Okay.
So you actually put that in parentheses to represent that it's not actually dice that you roll. Same thing there. All right. Now, the other question is, do you have any points left?
Okay.
That's how many points you spent? All right. Well, then you have lots of points left.
What do you think?
Yeah,
And
like,
I need
I would
something
describe it as
so I
some way
can
of
be able
like
to protect
of
me
it actually
from
being armor.
range. Because right now I'm
or some
good
sort of
on all
defense
close
in
quarter
aspect of,
stuff.
Right. Evasion.
This should probably
So,
be more of a force
since-
field than if I wanted to fight
Like,
it
do
that
you,
way. Huh?
here's the point.
like
Do you
yeah,
want to be
maybe
that
like
far
a
under the
or
trade cap?
like if you're
Or do you want to
finding
be closer
as
to the
like,
trade cap?
I want to
if
be
you're
closer.
theming your powers together,
I would
then I
recommend
would say like
going ahead.
it might be
Do
like
you want to be the top or do you want to
sort of
be
a dimensional shift.
one under?
because you're already doing.
So I can have some resolve.
Well, that'd be cool. Somebody's like
Clicked.
punching me,
Bring
and
that to
I
mind.
open up a dimensional portal, and their fist comes through somewhere else.
Bring strike up to 9.
That would be cool.
+1.
+1.
I was thinking,
Ding.
or
Okay.
I would just like
I would
fire off
recommend
a sword or
evasion.
something that blocks the attack. But
How much is that?
that's actually
So evasion is going to be based on your agility.
But
which-
that
Which
means
is
the
6.
force field or armor.
I would.
So
You can do it either way.
if you want to actually
I
have it
think
up
force
to
field might be
9,
more expensive, so I might recommend saying
6,
armor. If you're sticking with armor,
so
that's
that
more of a
costs you-
dimensional shift on your part than their
Evasion costs
part.
1 per.
yes, but she's at a
So like
she's at an
you're
off point, so
you're
she's gonna have
shifting
effectively kind of
parts
a
of
half
you
point
away
left that
from
she can
that.
put in something, which
because that
I'm
way
holding up in my
it
head for right now.
maintains the aspect of it's not really an attack on them,
And evasion, I
and
feel
it's
like
defending
it's
you
a train.
against them.
It's a train. I mean,
That's
yeah,
kind of creepy.
I agree with you that it should be trained.
Because dodging is something that you can actually learn.
Mhm.
Not something that's like instant.
Evasion is a trait, yes.
And next to that, which
Yep.
are super and which
That's not entirely true.
and I initially put here and here so that way I know that all super have that con of shutdown.
So I'm just trying to think of other things that seem to fit your concept. Because right now, if you want, you can just straight up buy 2 levels of determination for 10 points, and then you'd be almost done.
Let's go with that.
Actually, I think I'm going to drop growth.
What rank would that put her at?
2.
Not for now.
And then
And I noticed that in either
So,
strike or two-fisted, not
In effect, Brett, yes, because you have to
One of them
spend 1 on
had
any
con
power
underneath,
at any given time.
which means that would only work
But
for
the default is
ranged
going to
or
always
close
be
combat
you wouldn't
respective.
put that there, though.
so for
Okay.
armor, for example, as I was just talking with the other Brett here, that
You actually put it with the power itself.
since the default rank is half your toughness,
Two-fisted, put parentheses
so
close.
half his toughness is 1. It looks like. So and then he bought 1 in the power. For example, that brings it
and
back
I
up
noted
to
that it was
2.
-1. So,
So you've got 2 points left, and you've got effectively a half point because of the way that
the math works out.
because of the 1 per 2 things. So one of the things I put here is expertise, firefighting.
Okay.
And so yes, to your example,
Because you
Brett,
said
yes,
that was
you
an area
would
that
only
you
spend 4.
specialized in.
There are some powers that cost 2 hero points. I mean, 1 hero point for every 2 ranks. Evasion is, I think, a perfect example of that. So if it were evasion, which also has a baseline rank equal to your agility, if your agility were 6, and you spent 2 hero points on it, that would increase your effective evasion rank would be 10 dice. 6 plus 2 per point.
So, which you could put into agility. You could put into additional.
If you already have a might of 10D and you want martial arts,
talents, or you could take a super.
you can spend the point on the martial
Or you
arts.
could raise your running
Your
even more.
die cap is going to be capped at 10, so you can effectively use all the special benefits of martial arts. Like, but I think you're effectively kind of like just kind of shooting yourself in the foot with that. So I would probably just say, oh, I'm going to reduce my might to 9 and then spend the point on martial arts so I can keep it at 10.
Question for you. What is it that you want from martial arts that having a high might won't get you?
If you want to be strictly defense, a high might won't get you the weapons that you can use to block attacks with weapons.
It's correct.
So, Brett, there is a power strip laying like very near you. You look below.
Yeah, if you want, I would still charge you
Real quick.
passive defense. No, it doesn't give you, martial arts does not give you passive defense. Maybe active defense is what you're talking about. The blocking, hiya kind of thing.
This is determination.
Active defense, is that what you're going for with martial arts?
Fortunately, I can't use the stand.
That's all right. No problem.
So,
Yes. No. Maybe.
this way.
Yeah, it's fine.
And unfortunately, we're
I don't know. I lost power.
I'm trying to decide on a motivation.
Okay. So instead of taking martial arts, why not take evasion? Every point you spend in evasion, the example I just gave, gives you +2 over your agility. So if your agility is 6 dice, put 2 hero points in there, and you now have 10 die evasion. And evasion is an active defense. And so, yes, when you think of evasion, you think of duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge, of course. But it can just as easily mean parrying, attacks while you're unarmed. Doesn't matter how you define it. The long and short is it's an active defense. So I would absolutely use evasion in that context. If your might is at the cap, I would absolutely use evasion.
Give me a second, and I'll have it for you.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
And you can use martial arts in that capacity of evasion as well, but it's still an active defense either way. So it doesn't really matter which one you do.
To be specific, martial arts would allow you to defend in close combat, not in range combat. Whereas evasion is an overall active defense against close attacks and ranged attacks. So, and by the way, for what it's worth, if you already had 10 die might and you just want to be a martial artist and you want to have that martial arts for whatever reason, I would happily let you spend 1 point on it, give you 10 die asterisk martial arts, meaning you've got 10 die martial arts right now. And if and when the game's trait cap over time goes up to 11 die, your martial arts will automatically pop up to 11. I would be down with that.
as a EC, elemental control. Yeah.
And alternatively, if you're not looking for any of the,
comic books,
you know, mechanical benefits of what martial arts does, if you just want to be a martial artist, I'd be saying that's just fine for flavor.
Yeah, you just say you're a martial artist then. Absolutely.
Right.
There's a flash drive sitting on the hub that is sticking out of my computer.
No.
Anyone have any other questions? Anyone else? And by the way, I'm happy to look at folks' characters or builds.
Well,
That was sitting on the computer, not the flash drive.
sorry. I thought it was in the hub. So, Corey, is it your intention after we get everybody's characters done to actually do a scenario or something?
Yes.
Okay. What time is it?
It's 3:30.
Cool. Bill will probably be here in about a half hour or so. So, what we may have to do is take a quick break.
All set.
And I'll get him on where he and I can chat for a little bit. Maybe we can, those who are still a little bit behind, we can get them finished up. And then after the interview with Bill, we can do a scenario. Now, around about 7,
yeah,
people are going to start showing up for the other thing. So,
Did we calculate edge?
you start with your perception, and then you add either your intellect or your agility, whichever gives you the higher results.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are certain powers that affect
It's
it.
explaining a lot.
Like mostly
It would be lightning
super
reflex.
sights. And
No, lightning reflexes is lightning reflexes and super speed are the two that come to mind. I don't think there's any others.
I think
Oh, no,
that's
I'm
it,
sorry,
John.
Danger sense, yes.
health was
Sorry.
your toughness.
Or the average of toughness and willpower, if that would give you a better result.
Edge.
I have like 2 health points. Ouch.
Don't get hit.
Agility or intellect plus perception, whichever's better.
So Richard Brown has asked, how would you mimic cosmic travel, as in faster than light travel? There's a pro apply that you can apply to the flight power, and it's called, I think, Starflight, and that's it. There you go. And there's also a power called Stargate, which has nothing to do with MacGyver, but in fact is your ability to teleport interstellar distances. So you can kind of go either way. If you want to do the Vanth Dreadstar ships with jump drives, oh god, that was such a good comic book. Anyway, if you want to do the Vanth Dreadstar ships with jump drives, you can use that power. Or if you want to do the Star Wars hyperspace, you can use flight with again, I think it's Starflight.
Got a question for the GM, real quick.
And for anyone who hasn't, you can get the Jim Starlin Dreadstar collection.
Flight,
stop whatever you're doing, run out now and get them. They're unbelievably good.
Using shrinking.
Okay.
Is a 1.com.
Okay.
So acceptable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Going more for the wasp aspect of it.
Yes, only punching.
Do you have wings?
Do we have any other design questions that I can help you with? Yes.
So what are we at numbers wise? I haven't looked in a bit.
We are currently at 33,455 backers.
Woo! Outstanding.
So we're doing well. There's still time.
Might break that first stretch goal.
Yeah.
We're hoping.
We're close, people. We just got to see. We've shaken lots of trees, reached out to lots of friends and family and people who know, and so we see what happens from here.
That's what I'm saying. Look at the whole list. And do you want to play somebody you can't actually play because you can't role play? You can't actually interact with anybody unless you're on the telepathic link. I mean, that would make me like very vital to your character because the only way you'll be able to actually say anything to anybody is through the mind link, which I suppose could be interesting. But
unless you had cards,
if you remember, if ever you played the character and I wasn't around, you'd have a really interesting roleplay challenge.
So looks like we have a newcomer to the question about how does the random hero generator work.
Beautiful. I can answer this. I think it works exceptionally well. No, Sean, did you just do random hero creation?
Well, I only used the archetype randomizer because everything else was either setting driven or because I wanted to choose. So like my motivation, stuff like that. But I did use it because he said the program that all of us are getting our powers from, it gave us random powers. So I thought it would be really fun to use that system. So I rolled it and I ended up getting telepath, which I absolutely would not have chosen. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. I came in with this concept of who I was when they recruited me to this program, and then they put me through the stuff and I got a set of powers that, then I had to build a character around. Glenn went the same route, and he ended up getting the force user, force manipulator effect as well, and it was really cool because it doesn't give me my powers, but it tells me what category or style or concept my power should be based on. So that's where I ended up coming with the psychometry, the stun as a kind of mental blast kind of thing. I could have taken mind blast, but I like the stun thing as being more of a almost a bioelectric thing that I mentally surge out, because Corey said he didn't want the psychic source. It was only super source. So even though I'm a telepath, it's manifesting as more of a physical adept kind of thing. And then I did take the telepathy and so a couple of super senses.
Awesome. So we don't have a completely random along the lines of the classic villains and vigilantes thing where you randomly roll your powers and so on. But what we do have here is there's different elements of the hero that you can determine randomly. So if you really are stuck and you don't know what you want to do in terms of creating a character, the first thing you do is determine your nature. And so the natures are construct, animal, alien, human, unearthly, plant, or mythic. So unearthly would be something along the lines of like a being from another dimension, like an angel or a devil, whereas mythic would be like an elf or a dwarf. A plant would be like a fern, or a vegetable life, etc. And you can have more than one nature. You can be a combination of things, because why not? Then once you get your nature, the next thing is your basic origin, which determines just sort of roughly, generally, why you have powers. And that basic origin kind of would suggest or speak to what sources you have for your abilities. So they include things like, birthright, you're born with your abilities, you were altered in some way. Equipped means you've got lots of stuff.
For this campaign, it was already set for it's altered.
Aha, got it. So so those are your basic, and again, just like with your nature, you can have more than one basic origin. Then after that, once you have your basic origin, you determine the 1, 2, or 3 major sources that your abilities come from, whether they're innate or magical or psychic or super or tech-based, etc. And by the way, at every step along the way, you don't have to roll randomly. You can pick. The point of this is that it's to generate ideas, to get the sort of the brain working down a certain path, just to see if it inspires you in any way. So you would determine your sources. And finally, so once you've determined your nature, your basic origin, the sources of your abilities, then you determine your archetype or archetypes, because like everything else, you can have more than one. And so the archetypes include things like acrobat, archer, battlesuit, blaster, brawler, controller, cyber soldier, gadgeteer, force manipulator, life drinker, powerhouse, tank, psychic, zero, which is like aquatic hero, like Aquaman, shapeshifter, size changer, etc., etc. So we don't specify exact powers, but rather you can random. And the last thing that you can randomly determine is your motivation. If you don't know, why is this person a hero? So you can get a sense of, why you're doing what you do instead of just staying at home and going to work every day. And that's how the random hero creation works. So it's not a power by power random, but rather it's a more of a narrative. What kind of hero am I? And you can then pick and choose what you're inspired to pick and choose based on what you get as a result of that random process. And let me know if that answers the question.
Well, like I said, I enjoyed using it to give me a focus for my little. We're all altered. The whole concept here is we all, one way or another, got recruited, into this thing as youngsters. Teenagers or I would say probably 19, 20, 21 would be the oldest some of us would be.
Yeah.
And then we found out, oops, wait, this is actually something else, and we got experimented on, and we all got these serums and stuff, and then we ended up with a power set. Some people had very specific power sets they wanted to have, but in my case, in Glenn's case, we decided it'd be fun to just use everything else was set for us, or else we wanted to choose, but we used that one table to figure out what archetype would drive our limited set of abilities that we then have to, the whole point of this campaign is we have to learn how to, we have them, but we're just getting started with them. So that was a really neat way for me to do that. And again, it forced me to go a place I probably wouldn't have, but it also was a lot of fun to then build my power set and some of my training and stuff like that abilities around this idea. And then I've got to figure out how to integrate it with who he actually is. So, just because you went around, I decided to actually call back to my own personal history a little bit. A guy in this case named Thomas Remington, but he was dedicated. He was going to go to West Point or one of the other academies, and instead these people showed up and convinced him that they could help his parents out of their financial difficulties if he accepted an appointment to this very, very exclusive academy. But he'd spent his whole life, so he's got code of conduct and decorum based on the cadet codes, and then he ended up going through this process and ended up being given these mental abilities that telepathic and other mental abilities, and he sort of built up on his other training to become sort of a physical adept as well. So kind of like what would have happened if somebody had come along and tried to recruit me to some special secret academy that actually had a super soldier serum instead of me going to West Point. That would have actually been really cool now I think about it. I think I would have willingly signed on for that one.
This is just a question for kind of my own purposes. Are any individuals here going to be able to understand ASL?
Well, everyone can choose one or two language. Well, they get one language, obviously. They can choose maybe 2 or 3 based on their intellect that they can also know as their style. If you want to know lots of languages, there is an actual languages power, which represents knowing lots and lots of languages or even having hyper translation. But at that point, I'd say it would be a matter of if somebody's concept really included that they have a reason to know that.
Remember that in the details portion of character creation, if you're doing the narrative, the finishing touches, in the details portion of that, you make up 3 details. One about yourself, one about something that involves a fellow hero, and one about something out there in the game world. So if you wanted a fellow hero to be able to speak ASL so that you could communicate with them based on your character, you just tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, are you down for this? And if they are, there you go.
Well, the reason why I wanted to ask about the ASL question is because I am going to take the trait or the flaw of mute, and ASL is the language that she's going to communicate through.
Absolutely. No, that's kind of what I figured. That makes perfect sense. So if any of your fellow players wants to be able to, you just straight up talk to them, but they certainly could. And you could use that as, in fact, your detail might be, I leave this to you because it's your detail and your character, but your detail might be you taught that character ASL, or you inspired them to go learn ASL, or you have a connection through the person, maybe there's someone else that they know for whom they learned ASL, and you know the character through that relationship.
As sort of a setup sort of situation, chances are pretty good that this entire group of characters were all kind of assigned to the same test group. And so you've all been working pretty extensively together as part of the initial processes of the experiment. So it's a pretty good idea, or pretty easy to say, yeah, a couple of you have picked that up.
Also, if we have any desire to revolt, silent communication would.
I was going to volunteer until I realized there's really no reason he'd worry about it because of having telepathy and mind link. He can talk to anybody anyway.
Right.
So at that point, language is probably an issue. I can see Corinne's character possibly being one of the ones that picks up ASL.
Yeah. But being mute and communicating through ASL will make for an interesting superhero character.
Yeah.
Or test subject.
And again, you have the extra thing that you can talk to everybody if I have the mind link on.
Yeah.
The only problem is if I ever use my stun power, the mind link goes down.
Yeah. I need to choose one more flaw, but I'm good.
All right, you're all set.
I'm still debating my last flaw, but otherwise I'm all set.
So,
okay.
Brett, did you draw that?
Which?
The one you sent me to Facebook?
There's another Brett on here.
Oh.
Brett does draw though the orb character, the orb image that we used as the display image for the Denver ATF game yesterday was what he drew.
Scott, are you all set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
So about flaws, you don't have to pick them all right away. I chose to, but you don't have to. Hey. You can leave one or two undetermined and pick them as the game suggests. Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. So Andrea and Donnie Arnold just showed up.
Hey guys.
Our wonderful supporters and friends from Genghis Khan, who are also hosting the big wonderful party at Tacticon, to which they are making arrangements to bring Leonard out to Denver for Tacticon. Woo!
Cool.
So we're going to have a huge party and events going on at Tacticon, which obviously Ryan's very excited about.
I cannot.
Later they can. Huh?
I can't find any other flaws.
Then leave it open and you can decide on one later. Quirk, by the way, is like anything you want to define for yourself. A quirk of this or a quirk of that.
Okay.
You can leave it open for now and decide on it later.
Yeah, come on.
Righty, right.
Come out.
Righty, right.
Cool.
So that way you can look over it.
We are.
I've yet to decide on a name.
We're going to have to pull one or two of the deck chairs. Although there's literally starting to come a point where there's almost no space.
Yeah.
Well, my chair is available.
Righty, Ryan. Come here. I haven't seen you yet.
There's also, I was going to suggest for deck chairs. So we might.
Cool.
We might
And by the way, guys, one last thing, which is obviously, Corey, are you okay with there being a mute character?
You came out of hiding.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I can post some challenges, and so I'm always okay with the GM saying, hey, guys, you know, I don't want this flaw or this flaw or this flaw. You know, typically when I run, I tell everybody, hey, I want even, like if it's a evil fantasy, I'm like, you're all good guys. You're all good guys. You're chaotic evil. No one's picking anyone's pocket in the. You're all make whoever you want, but you're all goody two shoes. You want to vomit, good guys, because it's very easy for me to throw plot hooks for it. So anyway, that's just me to run.
No, and that is a fair point, and I'm okay with it because
you're awesome.
I'm okay with it because I find it as a challenge for myself as a GM to be able to work with players' imagination in that fraction. If it comes down to it becomes too much of an issue or hassle or problem later on because we can't figure it out as you know, between the player and I, then we'll come up with something that, you know, can work around it out of character and away from the table. But ultimately, I like to see, you know, what our players come up with for their characters, and try to meet that challenge for myself as a GM.
Cool. Excuse me, kids. If anyone else has any other questions, character creation questions, or anything else, point spend questions, any other fun, exciting stuff like that, put it up in the Q&A. I'll be back in a second.
Yep.
I'm going to my magical fantasy land.
I don't need it, but yeah, if you want to.
Do you have to spend all your points initially, or can you hold some back if you wish?
I don't think there's any reason to hold or to have to spend it, because experience points equate hero points.
Mm-hmm.
So
but does the game master have any problem with it?
I don't have a problem with it. The whole concept here is that you are you're new to the whole scenario of being a superhero. So
that's what I was thinking.
So there's no reason that you couldn't say, no, I'm just a little bit more inexperienced than my fellows, and be able to grow into that. David, how you doing over there?
I'm done.
You done?
I'm done.
So who's your guy? Like I heard the mechanics behind a lot of that, but who is this person?
I'm still working on that a little bit, but kind of just graduated high school.
I was just factoring.
Was kind of lost on what to do and got recruited. Doesn't really have a focus of where he's going in the future, but did all right in school. Was an incredible athlete, so he got recruited as an athlete to be souped up and.
Okay.
And kind of the ability to lead people.
Okay, cool.
Shoot, I forgot to figure out my health and resolve.
So health is either your toughness or it doesn't matter. It's going to be the same either way. 5.
I apologize. I did not catch your real name.
Since your 9 dice is a 10, you get 2 resolve for that.
I didn't catch your real name. I'm sorry. Randall?
So you have 4.
Randy, either way.
Okay. How you doing over there?
Pretty good. I was looking for the radar sense, and there it is.
And we have a limit on sources.
And this would be part of his electrical control. Or part of the same suite, basically.
Okay.
So, is that a 360?
Radar?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Have we had any prior training in combat and in combat scenarios? Did they take us through a basics course effectively?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's 4 points off for they can turn the powers off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have an additional 4 points to spend, basically.
And then 3 for the flaws.
No, flaws don't give you
Flaws
points.
don't get you points. No.
Flaws are how you generate resolve for yourself. You control your flaws. They're not a make your character cheaper. They are how do I role play my character, and if I cause myself a problem because of how I role play my character, I get resolve points to spend on doing better stuff later. So the way that works is you, during gameplay, decide, because of my amnesia, I have no idea how to handle this situation or whatever. You have to come up with narrative ways that it actually negatively causes you a problem in the game. By doing that, then you can get yourself a resolve. And same thing with mute. If we are in a situation where you suddenly can't communicate because the person you're trying to talk to can't understand you, and you're not on the mental link.
In this case,
that can be a problem, and you get a resolve for that.
Arrested his parents, wrongly or rightfully, put in the system, and they put him in this system. So his flashbacks from that. He's twitchy. He's got a hidden agenda. So electrical control, 9, flight 1. So he was at the same time, immunity, electricity, lightning reflexes, radio hearing, radar sense, determination 1, and phase shift on the electrical control.
Cool.
And 5, the perception. Power, 4 is intellectual might. 3 in shrine, 4 covert, 4 investigation. He's been wanting to break out of his place for a long time.
Okay.
How do you calculate health?
It's equal to your toughness. And it sounds like you are 1 under the die cap, so you start at 2, and then you bought a determination, so that gives you 3.
Plus, don't forget any flaws that automatically grant extra resolve at the start of each session.
Right. We're all set over here.
So it looks to me like I'm a little less jumpy. Is that right?